everyone, and welcome to the My Relationship with Food program. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my grain-free, gluten-free bagels. First things first, you need to preheat your oven to 200 fan assisted on the oven. You then need a large saucepan filled with boiling water together with 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Bring that up to the boil and then let it simmer. Next thing, you need your flours. I've got cassava flour, arrowroot flour. I've also got salt, baking powder, honey, oil and water. And I've got 4 eggs. And then you'll need another egg for your egg wash. And then whatever toppings you like. I've got challah topping here, but you can use everything but the bagel seasoning. Or you can use sesame seeds. Or for more information, visit myrelationshipwithfood.com for the recipe. So first things first, let's get the flour, the dry ingredients, into this big bowl here. So you've got 2 flours here. These bagels are grain-free, so the flours that I'm using is arrowroot flour and cassava flour, which are root veg. So that's going in. I'm now adding in the cassava flour. And then I'm going to add in baking powder, sea salt, and then I'm going to mix that together so that everything's evenly distributed. Okay, and then set that aside. And then in this bowl here, I've got 4 eggs. And I'm going to whisk those together. So beat them until they're really smooth. Okay, and then I've got water that's going in. And then I've got honey. You can use rapeseed, sunflower oil, or light in colour olive oil if you prefer. So today I'm using light in colour olive oil. And then I've got the honey going in as well. That's the sweetness in here, so there's no refined sugars. But if you prefer, you can use sugar if you prefer. So just give that a gentle mix. My water here is coming up to a boil. So that's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to pour the liquid mixture into the flour. So just give it a little stir again just to make sure it's thoroughly blended. You can make a well there if you like. And then just make sure that you get everything out. I actually like to do this by hand, but first things first, I'm going to get it going by using my spoon. So mix that all together. Change the direction a bit. You will find as you start to stir it, it will start thickening together and get a bit of resistance on the arm here, which I've just put some powder on there. So this is a really great way to make sure that you've got really nice, healthy, grain-free, gluten-free bagels to hand. I have a problem digesting yeast, psyllium husk, and I find that this is the best recipe for my gut. It's easy on the gut. So once you start blending that together and you find that it's starting to incorporate, now is the time to kind of get in there with your hands. So at first it might look a bit dry, but then once you knead it together, you'll find that it all comes together. So I'm just going to get in there now with my hands. It's quite therapeutic. So really squeeze it all together. And once the dough sort of warms in your hands, you'll find that it blends much easier. So make sure you get right to the bottom. even if it feels a bit dry. Just keep kneading it. If you prefer, you can actually take it out the bowl and knead it on your clean worktop surface. So give it a really good squeeze. If you've got any kids in the house, this is a great way to get them involved, to get their aggression out. Just keep kneading, squeezing, breaking bits off to scoop up the grains at the bottom. Move it around a bit. But as I said, if you like now, you can take it out of the bowl, take some bits off there, and then you can simply knead it together so that you have a nice dough. And then for precision, I like to weigh out my whole dough and then divide it by 6. So this recipe makes 6 bagels. So I always have an electronic scale to hand. But just carry on kneading that just to make sure it's really nice and smooth. So that's a really good dough. You need to work quite quickly with this dough so it doesn't dry up too much, but just make sure that everything is thoroughly blended in. Okay, so I'm going to get my bowl back and I'm going to pop my electronic scale on. And usually it's about 946 grams, so let's see what it is today. 930. So sometimes it's always different depending on your flours, etc., the size of the eggs. So let's see what I had. I'm going to use my phone as a calculator, and I'm going to, if I can find it, yeah, 930 divided by 6. So each dough is going to be 155 grams. So I'll put that back onto 0. And let's just weigh that out. 148. Okay. And then I've got a pre-lined baking tray with parchment paper. So once you weighed out your dough, just roll it into a ball. As I said, this is really fun for the kids to do because you can get them involved. And the great thing about these bagels is there's no proving time or waiting time. You can just literally make them and go. So just going to weigh out 150. Also, this is a great way for kids with their maths, just to make sure you get an accurate measurement. I'm going to shape it into a ball, and then I'm going to flatten it in the palm of my hand slightly, and then you can put a hole through the middle using your index finger, and then just spin it around your finger, and then pop it down, and then flatten it a bit more. So in goes the index finger, lift it up, and then twist it around. They will expand, so you can flatten them if you like not too small bagels, so just make sure they're quite rounded. Again, put a hole in there, and then spin it around. Okay, just smooth it out. You can always neaten up the edges if you feel like it's slightly split. If you prefer, you're scared about lifting it up, you can actually just make the hole on the tray like this. I'm just going to show you through this way. Just flatten it out. So again, put your index finger in there, and then just twist your finger around on the base of the tray, and then flatten it down. Again, just wiggle your finger around there and flatten it down. And can smooth out the edges. So there are my 6 bagels. As I said, if the edge is slightly cracked, you can just smooth it out. Okay, so now we are ready to boil the bagels. So you need your phone near you, and make sure it's on silent when you're cooking so you don't get disturbed, and set your timer for 1 minute. So what I like to do, I like to boil each of the bagels for 2 minutes, 1 minute each side. So I'm going to pop in the bagels here. They will sink to the bottom. So I'm going to go in with 3 at a time. And then I'm going to put my timer on for 1 minute. So once they go in, they will sink to the bottom, and then gradually, about a minute, they will kind of rise to the top, but you can actually use a slotted spoon just to make sure that they haven't stuck to the bottom, and then just wait and see how they're coming up to the surface. Okay, so now I'm going to get my egg wash ready. So I've got 1 egg that I'm going to just beat gently, and that will just be the egg wash. So out comes the bagels. They're easy to get out because they've come to the surface. So depending on your saucepan, sometimes you can get only 2 in there, so that's absolutely fine, but mine's big enough to get in 3. So I'm now just going to pop the remaining 3 in there. And then put my timer on. Whilst that's happening, I'm just going to get the egg wash and brush the sides and the top of the bagel. So on these 3, I'm going to do the challah topping, which is like the everything but the bagel seasoning. And actually my husband loves it so much, he said, can you put the topping on the base? So maybe I'll do that to surprise him, because he said this morning that's the best part of the bagel. So maybe I'll do it on 1 as a surprise for him. But I haven't tried this yet, but let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to flip that over, and then it's a little bit messy. Carry on top, but I'm only going to do that on 1 for a surprise for him, because he did request it, because he absolutely loves these bagels. Okay, so that's the minute up. I don't know if you heard that, but the bagels have come to the surface here, so they are literally just there. I'm just going to turn them over, all of them, and put my timer on just for 1 more minute. So always have a mobile near you. Okay, and it's on. So they have their seasoning on. I might just put a tiny bit more here. And show you, so you can see. So I've got 3 lovely bagels there. 1 has got double topping on both sides. So those are ready for the oven. As I said earlier, the oven is preheated to 200 fan assisted. So we've got 30 seconds left of the bagels, and then they are coming out, and then I am going to add sesame seeds to these ones. So almost there. So this is a really quick, easy recipe. It is very daunting to some people about making your own bagels. These are not the original real McCoy bagels, but I promise you they are as close as you're going to get, being grain-free and gluten-free. So we've got 3 seconds left. Okay, and I'm going to take them out. That's 1, 2, and 3. I feel like I've had a facial here for a half an hour with this steam water bath, so I'm going to turn that off and just push that to the top there. Actually, I might just get it out of view there. So here are my bagels, just to show you what they look like. Steaming hot out of the water bath. And then I'm going to brush them with this egg wash. So this is 1 whole egg. I've used large eggs in this recipe, but if you've got separate large and medium eggs, and if you're using egg wash, then obviously just use the medium egg. Saves wasting that little bit extra. But they are so good. So when you do your egg wash, just put that in the fridge, because I'm sure someone in your family are going to absolutely love these, and you might want to make another batch the next day. So you can just wrap that up and put it in the fridge and use it the next day, so you're not wasting anything. Okay, so in here I have got my sesame seeds, and then just sprinkle these over the top. So as I said earlier, this is a really fun recipe to get the kids involved, because it's quick, they don't have to wait too long. And now these are going to bake in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your ovens. I like to go for 25 minutes, but some people's ovens work differently. Also, a little top tip from me is that halfway through the cooking process, it's good to just literally take the tray out, turn it around so that you get an even bake. So in they go. First tray in, and now the last tray. Make sure you put your timer on the oven. Okay, so they are in the oven now for 25 minutes, and I will be back once they have cooked. So this is halfway through the cooking process time. I literally just get the bagels, turn the tray around, again, same bottom, swivel around the tray. As you can see, an oven always cooks different ways, some sides of the oven and the bottom of the oven. If you're anything like I am, I love to sit and watch everything bake in the oven. When I was a little girl, I used to just put up a chair and just watch the transition of how things get baked. So the bagels are almost ready to come out. Just check underneath. They're looking good. Almost ready. And just to show you, there is the first batch. Just wait a second. And then here I'll be everything but the bagel ones. So they are piping hot. I'm going to get them onto this serving board here. So I would leave them to rest for at least 10 minutes before you start slicing. I know you're probably going to be impatient to go, but I have got asbestos fingers here. Let's alternate them so they come off really easily. There's nothing like making your own bagels at home, and especially if you're like myself, where you're gluten-free and occasionally grain-free, and also these are free from yeast. They're also free from dairy. Okay, so here you go. Here are the bagels all cooked and ready. I've got my sesame seed ones, everything but the bagel topping. I've also got here my blueberry chia seed jam. This recipe you'll find on my website, and it's actually under the raspberry chia seed jam, but you can just switch the same quantity of raspberries for blueberries or blackberries, whatever you prefer. They're delicious with smashed avocado, smoked salmon, even salt beef is delicious. It's absolutely endless of what you can top with your bagels. My husband Jamie loves a tuna melt. A couple of things just to say, top tips with bagels. If you're not going to eat them all in one go, then just slice them in half or into three if you find that they're too thick, and then just pop them in the freezer, and then you can literally take them out of the freezer and pop them in the toaster. You can, here's some top tips, blitz them up in your food processor, and you can make them into breadcrumbs, and you can make schnitzels out of the topping. You can make pizza bagels, so you can just slice them thinly and then off however you like, and then top your passata sauce and cheese. You can also make bagel thins, which are amazing. So you just cut them very thinly. Please be really careful when you're using a sharp knife. But if you cut them into about 6 and you drizzle some olive oil, salt and pepper, za'atar, or any seasonings that you like, and then bake them in the oven, they're delicious too. So if you like really thin bagel chips, they're great. And they're just absolutely delicious. So I highly recommend that you should give it a go. I will cut one in half now, although you should really wait a bit longer, but just to show you what the inside looks like. So they're really soft. You can see quite doughy inside, and it's still a bit steamy there, but these are my grain-free, gluten-free, delicious bagels. If you do make these bagels, I would love to see. It really warms my heart when I see that you've created one of my recipes. So don't forget, if you're posting to Instagram, to use the hashtag #MyRelationshipWithFood. And if you want to tag me in with my Instagram handle, then just put the @ sign in front, so @MyRelationshipWithFood. I look forward to seeing your pictures, and for now, I'll be back soon. Lots of love. Okay, just giving you a close up of how soft they are inside, lovely and crispy on the outside. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do.